Imagine this. You're standing in a crowded cafe, watching a stranger's hands tremble as they stir their coffee. Their lips move, silent words, rehearsed arguments, as if preparing for a conversation that hasn't happened yet. You realize, with a jolt, that you do the same thing. Every day, scripting dialogues in your head, predicting reactions, trying to control outcomes before they even exist. But here's the unsettling truth. You have far less control than you think, not just over others, over yourself. Your brain is a master illusionist, convincing you that every decision is rational, every emotion deliberate. Yet beneath the surface, hidden forces pull the strings. Cognitive biases, social conditioning, instant unconscious judgments that shape reality before logic even enters the room. What if you could see those strings? What if you could pull them back? Eye contact, the 2-second rule of instant charisma. You meet someone for the first time. A handshake, a smile, but within milliseconds, their brain has already decided. Do I trust you? Like you? Follow you? Most people look away too soon, their gaze flickering like a candle in the wind. It signals uncertainty, submission. But what if you held eye contact just 1 second longer than feels natural? Not in a way that feels invasive, but deliberate, measured, as if you're searching for the exact shade of their irises. Hazel with flecks of gold? Blue like fractured ice? The trick isn't about staring, it's about noticing. This tiny delay triggers a primal response. This person is confident, present, worth listening to. Studies show that prolonged eye contact, even briefly, increases perceived authority and likability. It's why leaders, lovers, and negotiators all use it, consciously or not. Try it today. Watch how conversations shift when you see people instead of just looking at them. The paradox of choice. Why less freedom means more power. You stand in front of a wall of toothpaste at the supermarket. Whitening, charcoal, herbal, sensitivity relief. Your hand hovers. Your pulse ticks faster. This is choice overload, the cruel irony that more options don't liberate us, they paralyze us. The brain, when faced with endless possibilities, defaults to fear. What if I pick wrong? Now flip the script. Imagine you're persuading a friend to choose a restaurant. Instead of, "Where do you want to go?" A question that floods them with mental labor, you offer, "Italian or Thai?" 2 options, clean, simple. Suddenly they decide effortlessly, not because you manipulated them, but because you unlocked their ability to choose. This is the secret of high-stakes negotiators and savvy marketers. Constraint creates clarity. The next time you need someone to act, don't ask open-ended questions. Give them a binary path. Watch how quickly they move. The Wednesday experiment. Breaking time's illusion. Close your eyes. Think about last Monday. Now Friday. Which feels heavier? For most, Monday is a boulder. Friday, a feather. But why? Both are 24 hours. Both contain the same seconds, the same sunlight. The difference isn't in time, it's in expectation. We live in anticipation, our happiness mortgaged to the future. Just get through the week and then... But what if the week never ends? What if the reward is always later? Here's the fix. Hijack Wednesday. Plan something, anything, small but meaningful on that midweek hump. A 10-minute call with someone who makes you laugh. A single square of expensive chocolate savored alone. A walk through a part of town you've never seen. This isn't just a distraction, it's a rebellion against the tyranny of almost there. By inserting joy into the middle, you shatter the illusion that life is something to endure. Time doesn't bend, but your perception of it does. These tricks work, but why? Because beneath every social interaction, every decision, every passing second, there's a silent war between autopilot and awareness. Most people live on autopilot, but you? you're starting to see the code. And the next set of tricks? They're about hacking deeper. Should I continue with the next section? The next segment will explore silence as a weapon, the science of strategic touch, and how to make anyone remember you without saying a word. The silent weapons. How to speak without saying a word. You're in a tense meeting. The air is thick with unspoken objections. Someone has just challenged your idea, their words sharp, their posture rigid. Your instinct is to fill the silence, to defend, to explain. But you don't. Instead, you pause. Just 1 second. Longer. The room shifts. The challenger's fingers twitch. Their gaze falters. Suddenly they're backtracking, softening, even agreeing with you. What just happened? You weaponized silence? The power of the unsaid. Why pauses? Win arguments. The human brain is wired to dread silence. In conversation, gaps feel like voids, and voids must be filled. When you resist that urge, something fascinating occurs. The other person rushes to fill the space for you, often with concessions, clarifications, or even self-doubt. This isn't manipulation, it's psychology. Studies show that negotiators who pause after speaking secure better deals. Therapists use silence to draw out deeper truths. Salespeople leverage it to make clients commit. Try it. After someone speaks, count 2 heartbeats before responding. When asked a tough question, stay quiet for 3 seconds. Watch them rephrase it, soften it, or answer it themselves. Silence isn't passive. It's a gravitational force. Pull back, and others lean in. The 3-second touch, the hidden language of skin. A handshake, a fleeting pat on the shoulder, a brush of fingers when passing a pen. These moments seem insignificant, but buried in them is a primal signal. We are not strangers. Research reveals that light, appropriate touch increases tips for waitstaff, compliance in requests, and even romantic attraction. The key? It must last less than 3 seconds, long enough to register, short enough to avoid discomfort. Where most people hesitate or overstep, you can calibrate. A barista hands you coffee? Let your fingers graze theirs, just once. A colleague shares good news? Briefly touch their forearm as you congratulate them. The body speaks a language older than words. Learn its grammar. The name game, the sweetest sound in any language. Hear your name spoken aloud. Notice how your attention snaps to it. How it feels like a hook in your ribs pulling you closer. This isn't coincidence, it's neurology. The brain lights up when hearing its own name, releasing dopamine, the same chemical tied to pleasure and reward. Use this strategically. In conversations, sprinkle their name naturally. When meeting someone new, repeat their name back immediately. Alex? I'm glad we finally met. But beware, overuse feels slimy. Like saffron, a pinch elevates, a handful ruins. The mirror effect. How to make anyone like you without flattery. Watch 2 people deeply in sync. Their legs cross simultaneously. They sip drinks at the same time. One leans in, the other follows like a shadow. This is mirroring, an unconscious dance of rapport. You can hijack it. Subtly mimic the other person's posture. If they slouch, ease into a similar lean. Speech patterns match their tempo, tone, even slang. Breathing, sync your exhales to theirs. Done right, they'll feel an inexplicable comfort around you. Not because you're pretending to be like them, but because you're reflecting their own sense of familiarity. These tricks share a darkly beautiful truth. Human connection is built on invisible rituals. Most stumble through them blindly. But you're learning to sculpt them. And the next layer? It's where things turn dangerous. Should I proceed? The next section will reveal how to make people obsessed with you, the Benjamin Franklin effect, why smiling can rewire your brain, and the terrifying power of strategic vulnerability. The dark art of influence, how to make people need you. You do a small favor for someone, lend a book, give a ride, offer advice. A week later, they're warmer toward you, more invested in your opinions, even willing to do you a favor in return. Why? Because helping someone rewires their brain to like you. This is the Benjamin Franklin effect, a psychological quirk where we justify our actions to ourselves. Why did I help them? Well, I must like them. But how far can you push this? The reverse favor, how to obligate. Without owing. Most people try to earn goodwill by giving first, compliments, gifts, assistance. But there's a more potent strategy. Get them to give to you. Ask for trivial help. You're better at this than I am. Mind quick looking it over? Request opinions. I respect your taste. Which option do you think works best? The smaller the favor, the safer they feel complying. But once they do, their subconscious whispers, I chose to help this person. Therefore, they must matter to me. This isn't manipulation, it's allowing people to invest in you. And investment breeds loyalty. The forced smile paradox, how faking happiness creates it. You wake up exhausted. Dread weights your limbs, but you drag your mouth into a smile anyway. Wide, teeth-baring, unnatural. Then something bizarre happens. Within minutes, your mood lifts. The world seems lighter. This is the facial feedback hypothesis. The act of smiling sends signals to your brain that you must be happy. Studies show even holding a pen horizontally between your teeth, forcing smile muscles, can improve mood. So when you're spiraling, smile like a maniac for 30 seconds. Your brain won't know the difference. Strategic vulnerability, the weaponized weakness. A leader admits a mistake in front of their team. A friend shares an embarrassing story. A first date laughs at their own clumsiness. Suddenly, they're more likable, not less. This is the pratfall effect. Flaws humanize us. But there's an art to it. Controlled disclosure. Share a past struggle, not a current crisis. Pair with strength. I used to bomb presentations, then I studied TED Talks obsessively. Now, I coach others. Vulnerability without competence reads as neediness, but vulnerability after proof of skill? That's magnetism. The anchoring trap, how first impressions distort reality. A job candidate asks for $150,000 salary. Even if negotiated down to $120,000, the employer now sees them as worth more than someone who initially requested $100,000. This is anchoring. The brain clings to the first number it hears. You can exploit this. Price negotiations. Always say the first number. Make it ambitious. Social framing. Introduce yourself as the person who solves X problem before your name. First impressions aren't just sticky. They bend reality around them. Now you see it. Influence isn't about dominance. It's about triggering hidden levers in the mind. Levers people don't even know exist. But the final tricks? They're the most dangerous of all. Ready for the last section? We'll dive into the foot in the door technique, how to make memories stick, and the ultimate psychological hack, altering your own identity. The master key, rewriting the rules of reality. You wake up tomorrow and decide just for a day to pretend you are the most confident person in the room. You stand taller, you speak slower, you assume people want to hear what you have to say. And then something unsettling happens. People treat you differently. Opportunities materialize. The act stops feeling like an act. This is the self-concept override. When behavior alters identity, not the other way around. But how deep does the rabbit hole go? The foot in the door phenomenon. How small yeses lead to big ones. A neighbor asks you to sign a petition. A week later, they request a donation. Then they ask you to volunteer. Each time, you agree, not because you care, but because you already said yes before. This is commitment consistency, the brain's desperate need to align actions with self-image. Once someone does a tiny favor, their psyche whispers, "I'm the kind of person who helps." Weaponize this. Start with absurdly small asks. Can you pass the salt? Escalate gradually. Actually, could you grab me a napkin too? Watch as they convince themselves they're obliging by nature. The memory illusion. How to make yourself unforgettable. Think of your most vivid memory. Now realize it's probably wrong. Human memory doesn't record, it reconstructs. And you can hijack this. The peak end rule. People judge experiences by their emotional peak and final moment. End interactions with laughter or intensity. The Mandela effect. Insert a false but plausible detail. Remember when you joked about? Over time, they'll remember it too. You're not just leaving an impression, you're editing their past. The labeling trick. How to assign identities. People grow into. Tell a child you're so responsible, and they'll start acting responsible. Call a colleague the creative one, and they'll generate more ideas. This is identity labeling, assigning traits people feel compelled to uphold. The ultimate hack. Becoming who you pretend to be. All these tricks pale against one truth. You are your own most persuadable audience. Fake confidence long enough, and it becomes real. Act as if you deserve respect, and others will believe it. Pretend you're fearless, and fear loses its grip. This isn't deception, it's neuroplasticity. Your brain rewires itself based on repeated actions. The mask becomes the face. These are not mere tricks. They are cracks in the illusion, glimpses behind the curtain of human behavior. You've just been handed the keys to a locked room inside every mind, including your own. Now comes the reckoning. Will you continue sleepwalking through interactions, letting primal impulses and unseen forces steer you? Or will you step into the light, fully awake, and wield this knowledge like a sculptor wields a chisel, deliberately, masterfully, reshaping reality itself? The choice is not whether these forces exist. They always have. The choice is whether you ignore them or command them. South, what kind of human will you be? Now the real experiment begins. Will you use these psychological keys, or will life keep using them on you? Like this video if you're ready to take control. Share it with someone who needs to see behind the curtain, and subscribe, because we're just getting started on unraveling the human mind.